Hello, 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 and welcome to my channel. I hope you're hearing me because my for some reason my headphones just pooped. So give me a minute. Well, we'll go into the talk. Can people hear me? Yeah.
Oh yeah, we hear you fine.
And people can't. Hang on. Can people in the chat hear me?
Hello, people in the chat. Can you hear Crafty?
People
yes, Clive Wells, we're talking to you. Can you hear Crafty? Oh.
Carl Edwards says no. And then a smile.
Okay.
I mean, yes.
People hear me? Yeah. Right. Grand. Sorry about that. For some reason, just as we were going live, my audio decided to shit the bed. So, yeah, that happened. Welcome to Life on the Flipside. And we're back. We're back. Someone found the goat, and the goat picture isn't even up yet. Always
That's
the
right.
way.
Chris, that pale green thing is a horse.
Before we get into anything, I want to introduce people. First of all, my co-host, Steam Cup of Reason. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you, my dear? Hello? Did you just die? You can't hear anything?
Is anyone hearing anything? That is my question.
I'm hearing both of you. I heard Steaming Cup of Reason say that he's doing wonderfully, my dear, and ask how you are.
Yeah. But nothing's going out.
Can Crafty hear me? Who let the Royal Corps of Signals run a stream?
Yeah,
oh,
I'm back. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Hold on. This is my fault. First, did you guys hear anything I said?
I could hear you.
Okay.
Carl apparently can hear all of us.
Yeah, my audio decided to shit the bed just as we went live.
Okay. But I guess we're all good now then.
Yes, I can hear you. You can hear me. That's the main thing. Sorry, folks.
To answer your question, I am wonderful. I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing all right. I blame Clive Wells for this. He said, "Let the coup begin."
Oh, jeez.
I blame you, Clive.
Activity.
I think so. Yeah, plug in your headphones. Yeah, I should. For some reason, I've never had this issue where. Reason I'm getting the feedback from you. I think. Do you have your headphones?
Really? Okay,
yeah.
I'm gonna move on to headphones, and that should clear up that problem.
Grand. Yeah. So I've never had my headphones just cut out. In the middle of a stream or while they're attached to the laptop. I've never had them cut out, and for some reason they just cut out. So I don't actually need them to be plugged in because they're fully charged. But for some reason it just decided to turn off.
Have you had them 53 weeks?
Thankfully not. I don't think I have. But
you have to be. You have to watch those dates, you know.
No, I think it's a conspiracy. I think it's Clive Wells messing with my headset. I think he snuck in. Right. I think he snuck in at some point. And of course, we have the return of Sableagle. Woo!
Yay! Told you we'd get you back in here.
Yes, and it wasn't until here's the thing. Sometimes when you come onto a stream and you're not used to being on stream, you get a little bit nervous or quiet. And as soon as we ended the broadcast, we launched into a big conversation about stuff. So I thankfully I learned a lot more about you, which is great. But now we have to explain to the people As Clive sometimes calls them, the little people for some fucking reason. I don't see people as little, but okay. So how are you doing?
Some people are littler than others.
This is true. Fucking magic here, lads. Magic. So when my audio decided to shit the bed, people might have seen the little plants that are in Sableagle's image. Would you like to explain why you have pictures of plant stalks in your picture?
Well, the camera has to point at something, and if I point it at me, it'll crack.
Okay, well, that's a good enough reason, I guess.
You're kidding me here. Tell them the story. Come on.
This is the supermarket was selling off, old, as in 1 day old stock, cheap, and they have the misshapen fruit and veg aisle. The stuff that just grew naturally rather than exactly conforming to someone's idea of what shape it should be. There's a big bag of avocados, and I thought, like a fifth the price of the official avocado-shaped avocados. Well, I'll have them. And I thought, having eaten these delicious avocados, I've got all these avocado stones left over. Rather than chucking them in the compost, I may as well put them in a pot of compost and see whether any of them sprout. So I planted a dozen avocado stones and I got 8 avocado seedlings. Now I have no idea what to do with 8 avocado seedlings because they don't like frost. And I don't have a greenhouse.
And they're going to grow pretty big too, so you're going to end up with a hole in your roof.
Yeah. I could put them outside somewhere and just hope, put them against a south-facing wall, and maybe if it isn't well enough insulated, they'll stay warm enough in winter.
Yeah, you could try it. Have you got a garage?
Nope.
Okay, well.
There's a garden shed, but that's not much good because wooden, no windows.
Jesus. So basically what you're saying is someone has to come down and take your avocados.
Yeah.
As long as it's not Clive, I don't mind. Clive doesn't get to get any. He doesn't get to get any avocados because it's Clive.
Okay. It's not going to be Nathan Oakley either.
Aw, we could lump them against his head. See how thick it is.
Never mind.
I'm not advocating violence, YouTube. Don't nuke my channel. I am not advocating for violence.
No, we certainly don't. But if it's compost they need...
in him, it's a bit late for that now.
Theo Fun Guy says, put in a cupboard at night by the window during the day. There you go.
What? Why?
Well, a clear bag with holes. Or a clear bag with holes at two and sides put by window. I don't know.
They're not going to freeze to death inside. They're warm enough inside. The problem is the frosty nights. And once the things get to full tree size, I'm not going to be bringing them in every night.
Oh, why? They'll miss your home. No, I'm joking. Holes on 2 for heat exchange. Holes on side for air exchange. On the top, I think that means. Theo actually grows them.
I do have some clear plastic sacks, but these things are already taller than the sacks, so that's not going to work.
Well, I mean, no. Hold on, because you have to think outside the box here. Because all you have to do is rip a hole in the bottom of one of the bags, tape it to another bag, and there you go.
Yeah,
and
cut the bottoms off some bags to tape them all together to make a long tube and put an intact bag on top.
Yeah.
And then I need to tape some bamboo canes together into a scaffolding to hold it upright so that they can go up the inside.
Flare logic, I love it. So apparently, here we go. Jessica G says, PhD Tony's new show is starting soon. Life on the Fap Side, starring himself in his left pocket.
Didn't know it was left-handed.
Ouch. Ouch, Jess. Ouch.
Ouch, ouch.
Even I felt that one.
Oh,
Clive thinks I should stop persecuting him. I don't know. You have a lot to answer for, Clive. A lot to answer for.
And if the trees get wide as well as tall, I can't just cut the bottoms off the sacks. I'll have to cut the sacks down the side as well and take them together that way to make them into double-sized sacks to have more room inside.
See, now you're thinking outside the box. I mean, it's a lot more work, but at least you're thinking.
It's getting to the point where building the greenhouse would be easier.
Then here's an idea. Build a greenhouse.
I'll build the greenhouse just to have a frame to hold up the top of the bag.
Yes. Apparently, I'm a tyrant queen. Didn't realize I was a queen, but okay. Other than Cookie Queen. Yeah. Clive, what you like? What you like? Okay. Chris Durham says, tell your neighborhood pothead that it is evil. It's the evil weed, and he'll put them in a closet with grow lights.
The neighborhood pothead already has the evil weed in his closet with glow lights. Grow lights.
Hence the whole fucking pothead. I don't know. Actually, yeah, I'm not even going to get into that discussion. But what were we saying? Yeah. So last time you were on, after the last time you were on, we were having a conversation, weren't we? And it was a very, very interesting one, which we will have properly on a different thing. But you're very, very knowledgeable, A, about travel, and B, about guns. Fohammer needs to watch the fuck out.
Fohammer was in a different one saying, different stream a week ago or so, saying that he and I were going to be in a stream together and it was going to be a big surprise for me. And I thought, actually, Crafty already mentioned that to me as well.
I never said it was going to be a surprise for you. I was like,
no, I was in a stream when you said that we were going to be in one together, and Fohammer may have missed that detail.
See, this is the thing. When you lurk, people don't know you're there. And so then they have to give you the information. Anyway, yeah. You think that you felt that one, his poor left pocket? Jesus, Jess. Sorry, I'm distracted a little bit by the chat.
Just sit here and lurk and learn things about everybody. And compile.
You might regret that.
Apparently, Jess overestimates Tony's ability to see very small objects. Do I even want to know what this is about? Tony, we'll talk later. Yeah, we'll definitely talk later because I need to know what the fuck is going on. I don't know.
No, you don't. I know what he means.
Yeah, I'm worried now. Anyway, so what are we talking about today? What are we talking about?
Good question.
I think. Well, here's the problem. I had a 4-hour live stream yesterday. Well, it was very close to 4 hours. So for anyone who is there and who lasted that long, thank you very much. There were a few people that were actually on the stream that were there from the start, like Tusk and Tuskette, who gave me a cake, and then proceeded to eat all the cake. I don't know how I feel about that. They bought me a cake for my birthday and then ate it all. They didn't even share. Anyway, hello, Demon Orb. The cake was a lie. The cake was a lie. Someone actually said that at the end of the stream. I can't remember who, and I was like, "Oh my god, yes, the cake was a lie." They came in.
Tusk is actually in the side chat here. We can ask Tusk, was it delicious and moist?
Yeah. Well, he got very upset with Tuskette when he thought that she had eaten the cake all by herself. He actually paused, went into the other room to make sure she wasn't eating it all. Like that. Damn.
Damn.
You know.
Do these two have some weird ritual about sharing a slice of cake?
It wasn't really just a slice. It was a kind of big cake.
Well,
and it
yeah,
did look really fucking nice.
You can each take a slice of cake and then eat your slice of cake. But in that case, each of you has eaten a slice of cake. And that's fairly normal. If Tusk getting upset about Tusket eating a slice of cake, they must have some kind of private ritual where they get one slice of cake and, I don't know, one starts on each side and they meet in the middle or something.
Have you ever seen those videos? Have you ever seen those videos where people cut the cake wrong just to piss people off? Fucking love those videos.
No. But there was a wedding cake that sort of got cut wrong because it's supposed to be, I think, the groom that cuts it, or the bride and groom together that cut it, or something like that. Mm-hmm. And they managed to get the knife about a quarter of the way down through it before they gave up completely. I had to lean my full weight on the knife and then kind of shake for it to very, very slowly sink. It took me 5 full minutes. Made of? I have no idea. Possibly at least 20% of it was Portland cement.
Yeah.
That sounds a little dense to me.
Well, it was actually quite tasty cake, but it shouldn't be that hard to cut a cake.
Yeah, cement mixer, fucking hell. Jess says, I'm surprised you mentioned cake and Irish Demon didn't show up instantly. Well, that being said, I don't know what time it is for him. Tony, maybe you can let me know. But isn't it like quite late for Irish Demon? He might be asleep, dreaming about cake. I don't know.
No, I don't think it's that late for him.
Well, he's on the same. He's on the same timeline as you.
Well, yeah, I think he's an hour ahead of me. So if that's the case, then it's 8 o'clock for him in the evening.
Oh, okay. Yes, he's probably.
I could pretend to be him. Show up and say, "Good evening, lads and lasses."
Demonetized. Yeah. Sorry. I had to. Not that I am monetized, but it's just that's gonna be.
Welcome to my plagiarism.
Yeah, I'm just gonna fucking slag him off now. Who's to say that that's not the reason why he got demonetized? Just constantly saying good morning and good evening, lads and lassies. I think that's the most offensive thing for me, definitely.
Well, Aaron Moore hasn't been demonetized for saying hello, puppies and kittens at the start of every video, has he?
No, because it's puppies and kittens. Who doesn't love puppies and kittens?
Well,
nice.
You know, it's hello, willies and wankers.
I like that one. Well, yeah.
Tatty Bogle going to join with, I'll eat you a bunch of tossers.
That's rather polite and mild for Tatty.
Yeah, I was just gonna say. What else is happening in the world? I haven't been paying attention, to be honest. I've been working so much.
Yeah, that's actually what I was going to ask you about. How are you settling into your new home?
I'm in my mom's right now.
That's how well I'm doing. You're kidding.
Well, okay, because it was my birthday this week and I decided to have a gaming stream with my niece and nephew. Can't do that in my house because the children are over here. And it'll look more suspicious. It looks more suspicious them going on a bus and coming over to me than me coming over to them when I have all my fucking work gear and stuff. So I came over here and I stayed here last night. So I'm going home today after dinner because Mommy's dinner's the best. Mommy's dinner is the best.
It's the best. Mommy's dinners are always the best.
They fucking are. Like, well, having said that, look, I know how to cook. Thankfully. Otherwise, I don't think I'd have survived the last 8 years. But there's just something about having your parents' food or your mommy's food, especially an Irish mommy. And what's more is like my mom is a hoverer. So she doesn't really feel comfortable with other people in her kitchen, even her children. And she'll just stand there like, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you cooking now? What are you doing? So I just leave the cooking to her. when I'm here. So when I'm home, I can actually make my own food without someone looking over my shoulder. But anyway,
And
especially
then when
because
you're finished, and you sit down to eat it, you say, "Damn, I wish I'd let Mom do this."
well, it's not. I moved into the house last week, and the oven doesn't work. So there's only a limited amount of things that I can cook until my landlord gets my fucking cooker sorted.
Okay. Is it the element is burned out or something?
No, well,
Or
the
gas?
stove works. No. It's an electric cooker. The hobs work fine, but just I don't know. To be honest with you, the way the light is blinking, so it's one of those fucking cookers that you need to set the clock, and the clock is stuck on 0, flashing 0.
Oh.
So sometimes what happens is when the fuse is kind of at its end, it'll do that, or if it's a bad socket. So what I have to do is pull the cooker out, look at the fuse, change the plug, change it into another plug socket and see if it still remains the same. If so, then I need a new cooker, which guess who's going to get for me? Because I ain't fucking paying for a new cooker when I've just walked into the house.
Yeah, true enough.
Theo
So
and I have something in common. He says, no one is allowed in my kitchen unless they're making me a cup of tea.
Yeah, I mean, even with that,
a cup of tea, get it yourself, because otherwise you're likely to die of thirst before I think of asking. I am not a hobbit. I don't instinctively offer everybody cups of tea on site. And
why?
2, if I'm cooking, get out of my kitchen.
Sounded like fucking Gollum there. Get out of my kitchen, my precious.
Oh, they got Gollum so wrong in those films.
Yes, agreed. But having said that, the Andy Serkis did play him very well. Even though they did get him right. The technology that was used was absolutely incredible.
Well, I had 2 problems with it. One is kind of an eclectic one these days. Old people like me may have more of a problem with this than the younger generations like you kids. But if you've ever seen High Plains Drifter, Clint Eastwood Western from decades ago, one of the first things that happens in High Plains Drifter is that he goes into the barber's shop for a shave and a hot bath. And the barber there has the exact same comb over as Gollum in the films. So as soon as I saw Gollum on screen, I was like, why is the barber from High Plains Drifter suddenly showing up in Middle Earth? This is just not right.
Apparently, Fohammer needs a note for why he's late. Come here, I'm not that bad. You can feck off. Hello to Fohammer and Basic Trig. They just came in, so hi.
Hello, guys.
But without the Lord of the Rings and the technology that was developed during the whole run of Lord of the Rings, I don't think it would have been ready for the new version of Planet of the Apes. And I thought that fucking what they did with those movies was incredible. But the motion sensor performance, it brought that technology to a whole new level that wouldn't have happened or wouldn't have happened as fast if the Lord of the Rings hadn't used it.
It has to start somewhere, right?
Yeah. Sableagle disagrees. Hence,
I'm trying to remember how long ago the Lord of the Rings films were and how long ago I saw the documentary about the people in suits doing the motion capture for a film with apes in it. Because they had real trouble learning to move around, keeping their backsides down while swinging on their knuckles, rather than doing the human arse in the air, knuckles and toes walk. Because the apes they were impersonating, or whatever species of primate it was, have a way of moving around sitting down. almost sitting down, rather than the baboon's straight-limbed way of moving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not one of them ever finds a pool of water, stares at its own reflection, and shouts, "Gollum! Gollum!" at the top of its voice. And neither does any character in the books.
Huh.
So the remake of Planet of the Apes, so the film series of Lord of the Rings was 2001-ish, and the reboot of Planet of the Apes with Andy Serkis was 2011. That was a whole 10 years after the Lord of the Rings started.
Yeah.
But they learned a lot about motion capture by doing Gollum. A lot of its uses and technology, and how it can be applied throughout. And if you look at the motion capture from the Lord of the Rings, even into the Hobbit, when they were using it with the dragon, like it had come on so far because of the likes of the Lord of the Rings. It would not have developed as quickly, or it would not have been used so freely before that point. Like Andy Serkis had been doing that for a while, and nobody had heard of Andy Serkis until Lord of the Rings.
You see him afterwards on one of the chat shows when they gave him a load of Trump's tweets to read out in Gollum's voice.
I did. That was brilliant.
What's scuff pepe, precious? Nobody knows.
Yeah, no, I do. I love Andy Serkis. I think he's brilliant. Sorry, I'm looking at chat. I actually have to remember to look at chat. Yeah, I'm exhausted too. Late night.
Yeah.
And I was forced to drink whiskey. I came down from the live stream last night, and on the table, my mom had this little pull-out table, and my mom and my sister's there, and she's like, I poured this whiskey, and there's whiskey and there's coke, and poured this like 2 hours ago. I was like, yeah, because usually my live streams last about 2 hours. So she's like, okay, she'll probably be up there for another half an hour when the kids were finished. Yeah, that didn't happen. It was another fucking 2 hours, like.
We used to get that at Christmas. Had an uncle who would pour an inch deep whiskey into a glass and hand it to my father, and then like 5 minutes later there'd still be some whiskey in the glass. You're drinking that or making love to it?
Fucking enjoying it. I'm enjoying it, right? No, I'm definitely one of those. I pour out my whiskey, and if I do have Coke, if it's a cheaper whiskey, I'll have Coke. If it's a better whiskey, I won't. But it depends. It depends on whether or not I'm in the mood for just a straight whiskey. Sometimes I'm not. So when I was pouring out whiskey last night, my sister's like, that's a fucking double. What are you doing? That's a double. It's like, yeah, but it's gonna be with Coke, so it's fine.
Yeah, that's right.
Staring at me like, what? The actual fuck. Right. So I think it was last week. Fucking Paddy's Day. Or the night before Paddy's Day. I was on Math Pig. I got through like half a bottle of Black Barrel whiskey. I was very drunk on that stream. And I don't usually drink on streams. Well, it was Paddy's Day, in fairness. I'm allowed. But I had been talking to Stephen about my debate, which is going to be happening tomorrow, which I'll chat about in a little while. But yeah, I was very drunk. I got through a fucking half a bottle of Black Barrel. And if anyone knows anything about Jameson Black Barrel, this shit is not for the lighthearted. Like this is proper, decent whiskey. Like, yeah, I had an extreme hangover the next day, and I still had to go into work.
That sounds like I'd have an extreme hangover the next week.
No. No, I wasn't in work because it was Paddy's Day the next day. I had to come over here actually and be social. That's what I had to do. I had to actually be social when I had an extreme fucking hangover. And I don't get hangovers because
you're still in your
alcohol
20s.
doesn't really affect me.
Those of us were old enough to be your father get hangovers.
Hang on. Fuck off. I'm in my 30s now. I'm allowed to say I'm in my 30s. Not that it makes any difference. But, yeah. I had a hangover. I don't often get hangovers because drink doesn't affect me that way. Because I've been drinking for so fucking long. My liver is just like, bleh.
Oh, you're taking the pirate approach. You can't get a hangover if you don't stop drinking.
Well, I don't drink that often, but when I do drink, I respect my drink. I don't drink to get drunk. That's the difference. A lot of people, especially my age, were brought up with this idea. Like I've been drinking, I was drinking from the age of 11. I've been smoking since the age of 13. I'm a year off the cigarettes, by the way.
Yeah,
but it's one of those. Thank you. It's one of those things. I quit smoking at the worst possible fucking time, because like a week later, 2 weeks later, that fucker walked in the door. The flat earther walked through my door and stayed for 6 weeks. I had to find patience I never knew I had.
Oh yeah.
Gave up the tobacco but kept smoking.
Pretty much. Oh, stop. That's where the weed came in handy. Like, no, I'm joking. I haven't actually smoked anything apart from like 1 or 2 cigarettes, and I have a fucking stash. Like, I just haven't used it. I've been very good. Did
you pick up any weird habits? Like rattling keys or chewing dog biscuits or anything instead?
I don't think so. I don't think I'm qualified to say what my habits are, really. I just don't stop talking, but that's not new. I'm actually having to think about this now. No, nothing that I don't think anything that I do now is different to what I did a year ago. Over a year ago now, because he came in February. He was actually just about now he was leaving. That's what it was. Just about now, after 6 weeks of putting up with that shit.
Unreal. I couldn't take that.
Yeah, it was special. But it led me here. It led me here. So I don't know. Any tyrannical tendencies? Not that I didn't have already, Clive. Not that I didn't have already. I was already a farmer, so I was already like boots on the ground. Fuck that.
There you go.
You just went from boots on ground to boots on necks.
Pretty much. Stop persecuting Clive. No, not
Clive,
ever.
It's not persecution if you're paying by the hour to enjoy it.
It's a good point.
I'm saying nothing on that. Yeah. See, look, she quit smoking and started a YouTube channel. Yeah, that's exactly what fucking happened, and I blame you fuckers for that. Or those of you that were in Mr. Sensible that night for peer pressuring. And yeah, continue. This is gonna stay up now for the rest of the fucking show. Continue persecuting Clive. Because screw you, Clive.
That's not what the one you just put up says.
Other than no.
There we go.
You're behind. You're listening to this in real. Yeah, you're listening to this in real time. And
of course, the scream
you're watching it, and you're watching it with the lag. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You're watching it with the lag.
If I quickly mute us and then unmute the stream, I can actually hear myself say that.
Yep, it happens. What's worse is there are times where I'll be watching or I'll be on a Zoom, and then all of a sudden, for some reason, my audio will reset on my phone, because I do watch the chat on my phone. And then all of a sudden there'll be fucking echo coming from the phone because the audio will reset. I need to get a new phone. That's the crux of it. Clive is such a troll that I brought what? That I thought he came on my stream last night as Irish Donut. Turns out it was the real donut.
Well,
I'm not. I think she's on about Demon. I'm not sure.
I think so.
I'm so confused, Jess. What the fuck?
Assume it's a reference to Irish Demon and his over 26-inch waistline.
Quite possibly. But here's the thing, because as I was going to bed, it was Demon. As I was going to bed at like 3-4 o'clock in the morning, Demon went live and he questioned, and in his title, it was something along the lines of modern day debate, MDD boycott, question mark. Here, how do you guys feel about this? So people are calling on modern day debates to be boycotted because they gave Nathan Thompson a platform. But the problem with that is, and they're shit moderators. First of all, James isn't the only moderator there at Modern Day Debates. There are 2 other moderators that are actually semi-decent. And James can be decent when he wants to. And you have to remember, he wants to bring these people back on if he needs to. So he has to be nice. The second thing, when it comes to Modern Day Debates, if you're a member of Modern Day Debates, you get a wrench until you prove that you're not responsible enough with a wrench. So what actually happens is fucking Nathan Thompson was on. He got bullshit from the chat and started deleting people. And so he lost his wrench. So saying that he's a useless host, he fucking took Nathan Thompson's wrench away. He had it because that was the rules of the channel. When he became a patron, he got a wrench until he proved that he was not able to handle the wrench, and then it was taken away. The other thing is, I mean, yes, they present themselves as a legitimate debating channel.
Yeah, a non-biased platform.
Here's the problem with that. You can't do that on YouTube. You can't. Anyone that thinks that any fucking debate platform on YouTube is going to be a proper debate and structure, it's not. They don't know how to do it. I helped run a fucking debating society in university. And what I see when I look at Modern Day Debates is entertainment. It is not for debating purposes. It's for, let's have a conversation. And let's be really nice to everybody so we can bring everyone back on. So when it comes to Modern Day Debate, I have a different take on it. When it comes to platforming Nathan Thompson, well, I hate to break it to you guys. Fucking Team Skeptic has had him on. FTFE have had him on. Irish Demon has had him on. So unless you're going, if that's what you're outraged about, just platforming Nathan Thompson, then come down off your high hole and also boycott every other aspect of the community who has ever given him a platform, or shut the fuck up. I don't mean to be bad, but that's my take on it. If you have an issue with Nathan being platformed at all, which in some degrees, I don't like listening to Nathan Thompson at all. So I would never welcome him on my channel. But if you're going to be consistent in your outrage, then you also have to say, well, Team Skeptic has done it. FTFE has done it. And if you're that pissed off that he gets off lightly, become a debater yourself. If you think you can do a better job at moderating, do it yourself and see what it's like. Now, I have no problem with FTFE or Team or anyone else bringing him on, or the plot hole bringing him on. What I'm saying, Jess, is that the people that have an issue with MDD bringing him on also need to have the same consistency when it comes to having team or fight or anyone else having them on. That's all I'm saying. If you think you can do a better job at moderating a debate, set one up. See how difficult it is and see how you get on. Especially with Nathan Thompson, it is not easy to moderate that cunt. He will not be moderated. He's an asshole.
Yeah.
We already said something that James never says, which was shut the fuck up. No one, well, he never tells anyone, and which Nathan Thompson wouldn't do if told, which is part of the problem. But
James is quite like myself.
Sorry, go on.
He's quite like myself. He can't more at two things at once. I love the guy. He is actually a nice guy, but he can't do two things at once. What happens with James is, as soon as it goes live and he does his intros, James's attention goes all towards the. He doesn't even be listening.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't listen to debates because he's heard it before.
Yeah, what you need there is somebody who is dedicated entirely to moderating the chat and somebody who's dedicated entirely to the debate. And I understand that, like you said, from his point of view, he wants lots of people to come on. He wants to have a reliable backlog of people waiting to come on. And so he has a show every week or however often they are. And he's not going to be sat there going, well, nobody actually showed up this week and we don't have a backup plan. So we're just going to sit here and discuss our favorite flavors of cheesecake for an hour. Mm-hmm. So he has to be nice to the snowflakes. Yeah. I hate the word, but the people who are going to storm off in a huff if he insists on moderating a debate get away with not taking part in a proper debate because he doesn't want to actually moderate a debate and thereby deprive himself of their repeat appearances. What the girls' high school down the road from us used to do was host the. I think we took it in turns hosting it, but I remember going to see the debates in their theatre, and they would have a motion proposed like this house believes that travel broadens the mind.
Yeah.
And there would be 3 people proposing, 3 people opposing, and you would get a fixed amount of time in which to the first person from the proposing team, the proposition, or is that an sounds like a decent proposal, but would have a certain amount of time to put the case that travel broadens the mind, and then would sit down. And then the first person from the opposition team would stand up and have the same amount of time to put the case that travel does not broaden the mind, and would sit the hell down. And then the second member from the opposition would stand up and have a certain amount of time, and his only job, or her only job, depending on which way around the two teams are, would be to rebut the case put forward by the proposition team. No new evidence allowed, no new points, don't address anything they didn't bring up, do address everything they did.
That's a proper debate.
Yeah.
That's a formal debate style, and that's the style that I'm used to debating in. But I've also been in politics and sociology circles for the last 12 years, 15 years. So I'm used to both. I'm used to debates for formal purposes where you get marked on the job you're done. And every person in every debate has a role to play. And if you don't play that role, then you're marked down. That's the formal debate. And then you have the informal debate where I wouldn't say you can have the dumpster fires, but you can also have it's more of a discussion style debate where one side brings what they want to say. And this is the problem. A lot of debaters, a lot of the debaters that I see do actually get sidelined. They forget what they want to say or what their aim is, and they focus on the personal attacks, or they focus on the individual that they're debating instead of the topic. And when that happens, and I'm used to this. Like I've done interviews on radio shows, on TV shows, where they will try to drag you into talking about what they want to talk about. And you have to stay on point. You have to be able to bring anything, any discussion, any sidetrack that they're trying to bring you down, that you have to bring it back around to what you want to talk about. And the best, this is where politicians learn, you know. You always bring it back to what you want to say. The bacon, the goat hasn't been shown yet. We have not put it up. Wow. So just really quickly, thank you to Theo, who has just tipped €10. Thank you very, very much. Theo, if you want to leave a comment that you want highlighted, just tag me in it and I will definitely bring that up on screen. But yeah, Theo and Carl is understanding what we're talking about with the formal debates. But in politics, you have to learn a different style of debate. You have to, again, bring it back around to what you want to say about the subject and ignore the personal avenues that they're trying to bring you down. And that's what I find with a lot of debaters. They don't know how to do that.
I'd bring in a third tier of debate, because you have the formal debates, and from memory, it was there were, you know, members of staff taking notes. And if we were going to do that on a channel, we would have to have someone whose sole job was to keep track of all the logical fallacies someone committed, and someone whose job was to make a list of all the points that were brought up and mark which ones had been addressed and which ones hadn't, and so on. But I think in the school debating society, it was a show of hands at the end. Just the audience just voted on which team had done the better job of convincing them of their side. But then you have the informal "what have the Romans ever done for us" argument. And then I think you need a third tier below that, specifically for the British House of Commons, where most of the debaters seem to be going, no, rather than actually taking part in any kind of conversation.
Yeah. I mean, like, I'm used to both the hands up. Like, so when you're talking about formalized debates, there has to be judgment. Because that's the only way. And what happens with the judgment is that both teams are given, again, I've run formal debating clubs in university, and you have to get feedback. You have to get feedback on what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong. And what happens with the formal debates, the biggest letdown is for Prop 1 and Op 1, they don't really, Proposition 1 and Opposition 1. So they're the first two in the debate. They answer what they think the question is instead of answering the question. And that happens a lot. That's the biggest pitfall. But other than that, yeah, you have to. I had a conversation with Stephen, who's going to be my partner in the debate tomorrow, where I was like, "Yeah, send me what you have, because I have done many debates on the issue that we're going to be discussing for the last 6 years, 7 years. I've spoken about my own experience with this given subject, and I don't know how he's going to work it, whether he's going to do it the formal style or whether it's everyone on one side say your point of view and everyone on the other side say their point of view, and then we'll get into the back and forth. And I think that's how he's going to run it. So I was like, okay, I'm the only person coming into this debate with a formal presentation, which some of you seen on Agree to Disagree. So I'm ready for this debate. It's what I've actually used on TV when I've debated it on TV. So I'm ready for this debate. But Stephen is, although he's prepared and he has a lot of knowledge on the subject, he's not quite as formally prepared. And I was like, okay, give me your bullet points, but flesh them out a little bit. He gave me 3 bullet points. I was like, they are so fucking broad that you are going to be dragged down back alleys, left, right, and center. It's very easy to lose your train of thought and just go on a binge with this one thing. This is why for me personally, having the feedback from the formal debates, I've learned how to organize my thoughts when it comes to debating. But that comes with experience. And if you think you can do a better job, as a debater than the people that you're seeing debating these guys, then become a debater yourself. It's not, although it's nerve-wracking, you can do it. Anyone can do it. And I don't mean that to sound like put up or shut up, but if you don't feel like someone is representing your side as well as they could, especially when it comes to the likes of Nathan Thompson, instead of just boycotting and running away and giving him that platform, and here's the bigger point, you're giving him that platform unchallenged. That's the bigger problem. That if you don't, if you decide we're all going to boycott modern day debates, you're leaving him unchallenged in those chats. Do you know what I mean? And we all saw when Aaron Raw left, which was perfectly understandable. But when Aaron Raw realized that Nathan had nothing, he left. What happened after that? Nathan Thompson was given free reign for an hour on modern day debates. So you're leaving him unchallenged on a platform. Who's not going to challenge him?
Yeah,
that for me is a problem.
Very uncomfortable being impolite enough to actually get our points across while Nathan Thompson is constantly trying to interrupt and talk over us and derail the conversation for a full hour.
Well, that's the whole problem with the situation of modern day debates. There is no consequence to breaking the rules.
But here's the problem. People are so fucking, because we're so respectable, we care about the rules. Nathan Thompson doesn't. And this is what I'm saying. Like, this is where informal debating and debating in the likes of sociology terms and political terms, this is where I've learned that they're always going to try talk over you. They're always going to try talk over you. They're always going to try like drag you down. But you have to learn to have a thick skin. You have to learn how to push through those distractions. And again, it's never about who you're debating. It's about who's listening. And that's the issue. If you can break through whatever, let him. You're not trying to convince Nathan Thompson. And everyone, that's what I see. Every time anyone has a conversation, it's like they're trying to convince Nathan Thompson to be an adult. He's not a fucking adult. He's a man baby. So you treat him like a man baby and you ignore the fucker. You ignore the fucking, you don't ask him questions. You explain, this is why you're wrong to everybody in the chat. And what you do is you give people in the chat who know he's wrong, you give them the tools to then say he's wrong. That's what a real debater does. It's not about proving anything to your opponent. It's not about making your opponent look foolish. It's about getting your information to the people watching. For me, that's what
I have a plan for that, which is that he's going to say something wrong, and I'm going to press the little button that toggles from the speakers that are plugged in to the empty socket where the headphones used to be plugged in. So I can't hear anything else he says while I explain every way he was wrong about that, and then unmute and listen to him sputtering.
That's exactly what you do.
10 seconds.
And you let him have a tantrum on screen because that's what you'll do when you're ignoring him. Moderator. Yeah. All you have to say is, look, I can't hear what you're saying. I'm just going to go with what I'm saying. So screw you, Nathan. And that go on.
Carl Edwards has a point. James allows the negative people far too much freedom. He doesn't step in and stop Nathan from cutting people off and constantly breaking those rules. He just lets them go.
But that's because there's more of us. And again, you need to know when you're going into the debate, you need to know the terms. And the terms are, there's very few flat earthers and there's very few anti-choicers that will go on and argue for anti-choice. There are very few flat earthers or conspiracy theorists that will go on and argue for the conspiracy. Like they had a really interesting debate on 9/11 last night. Which didn't go fucking anywhere. But it's not about going anywhere. It's about posing those questions of different sides. So again, it also depends on what you expect out of the debate, because it's an entertainment show. If you're expecting a round of applause for going on a show like that, then you're sadly fucking mistaken. There are always going to be people in the chat. There are always going to be people in the chat that agree with you. There's always going to be people in the chat that disagree with you. But as a debater, your main purpose is to get across your information. And if you can do that for people in a digestible way, whether or not they leave agreeing with you or not, you've also armed new people who wouldn't have had that perspective. Like, so I'm going to be on the show talking about abortion. James has never had someone on his stream who has lived under an abortion ban before. He's never had it. And he's going to have 2 on the same fucking team. He's never had a person talk about abortion who has actually had to live with the consequences of what these anti-choices are actually saying. I've lived it my entire adult life up until a few years ago, where we fought to get it repealed and we won. So I have a wealth of information and wealth of knowledge that he has never had on his show before. And why did I come forward? Because he was looking for new people on the choice side to actually come forward and have a debate. And because I don't feel like T-Jump can't fucking talk about abortion. I'm sorry. He doesn't represent me as a pro-choice activist, as someone who has sat there in rooms with women who are terrified taking the abortion pill. He's never done that. He doesn't understand it. So he gives a lot more ground to anti-choices than I would. And so I said, you know what? The caliber, there's some really good debaters there for the choice side, but they don't have the experience that I have. And so I'll debate. And that's why I decided to fucking step up.
On
and
that
people
note,
don't have it. Yeah, but people don't have
Church a terrorist organisation, and should it be formally designated as one?
Well, before that, we are a bit late with our goat. Because I was writing. Is the new picture up?
Here to go.
Yeah. Here's
Maybe
the picture.
I should just change tabs so I don't spot it this time.
Is that the picture? Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one. Y'all hear the goat?
It's the background 12, is it? The second one? Oh yeah, that's blank. Okay, Grant, go find the goat, people.
Screen.
Go, yeah. Go find the goat. Yeah, T-Jump has a lot of knowledge and fuck all personality. He argues like a damn cloth. Okay. Hang on, Carl. I get your sentiment. How can any man speak for a woman on a particular choice? Here's the problem that I have. I don't ascribe to the idea that if you don't have a uterus, you don't have a say in the conversation. Some of the most passionate people that I've seen argue on the issue are parents of fatal fetal abnormality, have been with their girlfriends after they've been raped, or their friends after being raped, and they're able to tell those stories. So personally speaking, I don't ascribe to that way of thinking that you can't have a conversation, or you can't have a role in the conversation if you don't, because a lot of what we saw with the repeal of the 8th Amendment campaign, which I'll be speaking about on the after show of Modern Day Debates, which I'm going to host, a lot of the people that came forward were men who said, we have to be, it is her choice, but the choice can't be made in a vacuum. We need our support networks. And yes, men are a big part of those support networks. We need those support networks. We need men coming out and saying, yes, I respect her choice. Like yourself. That makes me feel happy seeing that there's people in the chat that respect my choice. But we need people coming out and being honest. And we also need to change the way the conversation is had. And if they disagree, instead of just shouting them down, talk to them, listen to them, and see why. Because that's another thing when it comes to debates, regardless of what it is, people are just waiting for you to shut up so they can talk instead of actually listening.
Wow. That was quick.
What?
The winner.
Who found it? Who found it? Who found it?
Soma. She found it. And I'm about to upload the scene. Yeah, it's she says it's on the cup. And
Demon Orb said it as well, on a green pot on the shelf left
next to the big pot. Yeah.
Wait. Okay, so can we just make sure that it was whether it was Demon Orb or Jess? Because I'm seeing both of them saying pretty much the same thing.
Okay. Well, the first one that I saw was Soma. It's on the cup in the back. So I asked her which cup. And she answered correctly. The big, it's next to the Big Ten pot. It's a little blue cup.
Cool.
So
okay.
I guess.
Okay. Jess is going on. Whoop whoop.
Okay, so there she be.
Jess coming on next week.
Yeah.
I have to say, I do love that little challenge, because it's a distraction.
It is. It's fun.
Clive Wells says, "Is it wise to have both Crafty and Jess on the same stream? They're both troublemakers." I'm not sure, but it's going to be fun.
Secret.
Yeah,
absolutely. See, I'm one of those creepy ones. I don't actually cause the trouble. I just hint and suggest to Crafty because I know he'll take the bait and run with it.
Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah.
Can I go back to something Carl Edwards said?
Yes.
And offer a slightly snarky response. He said, "How can I, as a man, have any idea what a woman would want to do or how she feels? You could try asking and then listening to the answer. Just saying."
Yeah,
that does seem to work well.
Or have empathy, but be one of the other 7 billion genders.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, Clive. Here's the thing. I know men who have been in the room, and when you have a partner for a long time, you know how they're feeling. You know what they're going through. Yes, you can't possibly imagine exactly what they're going through, but the compassion has to be there. And once the compassion is there, then people will accept that. That's good enough sometimes, just to have the compassion. When I had to leave my country to have an abortion, and when I did, there was 2 men that I came across. One was a taxi driver when I came out of the clinic, and what he said was, "Oh, I know where you've been. Would you not come over midweek when all the paddy girls come over?" So it was so derogatory and made me feel so uncomfortable. And the other was the bus driver on the way back to the airport, who knew exactly where I'd been. Didn't say anything about it, and said, "Look, go down the back seat and sleep, and I'll call you when we get there." He didn't need to say, "I know where you've been," to be compassionate. And that's 2 men with 2 completely different attitudes and responses, because he's seen it every day of the week. So, I mean, you don't have to know exactly what they're going through or exactly how they're feeling, just to be compassionate. And I think that's one of the things that I would argue for, that just have compassion. That sometimes that's enough, especially with something so personal and so difficult at times. But thank you for asking, by the way, because some people, when you discuss this, they're actually afraid to ask those kind of questions, you know, and we need people stepping up and saying, well, how do I do this? So thank you. Anyway, the Catholic Church, should they be branded a terrorist organization? Explain the rationale. Explain the rationale, Sableagle.
Well, a lot of what gets preached, and it's not just by them, it's by a whole lot of religions, is fear of eternal punishment, isn't it? So they are using fear of violence, just post-mortem violence, although in the case of things like the Crusades and abortion bans and homophobia, it's pre-mortem, ante-mortem violence as well, to try to influence people's behavior, including getting money from them, and then they use their influence and their size to influence governments and demand diplomatic immunity for some strange reason. So by that definition of terrorism, they are trying to use fear to influence politics, which is pretty much what terrorism is. But also, if you go by the inflicting horrific suffering on randomly selected people approach definition of terrorism, well, they are.
They've done that too.
With the defunding any organization that hands out condoms in Africa. That was one of theirs.
Yeah.
All these aid organizations taking available money from rich countries and using them to reduce the spread of HIV and other sicknesses and improve education and quality of life and everything else in Africa. Condoms are a really wonderful tool for that. Not 100% reliable, but 99.9 is not zero.
That is true.
Suddenly their funding disappears because some kiddie fiddler in a fabulous hat and red shoes said that it's against his ancient book of fairy tales. And people listen because there are thousands of people who follow the same ancient book of fairy tales as proposed by a bunch of weird guys in black dresses with their shirt collars turned backwards.
So what you're really saying is, yes, they should be classified as terrorists.
Yes, they are, and I would be perfectly happy to treat them as one. Whether they should be formally designated as one is a separate question, because that's potentially a dangerous step. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, the biggest problem is they tried to do that in Egypt and throughout the Roman Empire when paganism was a thing. And when they failed, what they basically did was they used religious persecution and they took over. They had riots and people didn't want riots, so they actually just handed power over to... Well, it's a little bit more complicated than that, but it doesn't really work when it comes to religious institutions because they just cry fucking religious persecution. And the issue with designating them a terrorist organization is that you would need everywhere in the world to designate them as such for it to have any impact. So therefore, if you were going to designate them, all of their land would have to be seized. They are the biggest landowners in the world. The Catholic Church are
and use it for actual good.
I agree. But you would have to unilaterally take away their power and wealth. And that's a very, very, very difficult thing to do. I'm not saying that it shouldn't be done, but if you're going to call a group that uses fear as a tactic of an intimidation as a way of controlling people, then you also have to say that the UK military and the US military are guilty of the same thing.
Yeah.
And this is the problem. It's what uniforms are the correct ones to be able to do it. And
you also have a lot of it. If I get to designate well, if we, whatever, get to designate the Catholic Church as a terrorist organization, bear in mind they do use violence, even now, beating the hell out of children in schools and orphanages and the like, and renting them out to paedophiles, even though they say homosexuality is a sin. But aside from that, if I get to designate them as a terrorist organization, then Joe Bubba Mac Racist gets to designate all of Islam as a terrorist organization.
Yep.
If we designate Daily Mail as a terrorist organization, the Tory party is going to do the same thing to the Guardian and the Independent.
Yeah, that's the point. It's the knock-on effect. And if you do it to one, you have to do it unilaterally to all. And again, you have to be able to do it on an international basis. There's very little without, and I hate to say it, without a worldwide revolution, which denies fucking religion in public spheres, then you're never going to see that kind of that scale of a move against any religious group. Like, even the likes of the Moonies, they didn't want to fucking move on, like. And they were proper cult. They were fucking let's commit suicide kind of cult. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I mean, in theory, it would be probably a good idea. But yeah, as fucking Clive Wells says, the Christian rebellion rebranded itself as the victims of persecution to emphasize its specialness, when in reality, they were the religion that persecuted their competitors out of existence. It's true, but again, they were the victims. And if you give them that victim status, then what you're actually doing is you're not helping their actual victims. So what I've been doing over the last 10 years is chipping away at the Catholic Church's rule in Ireland, along with many, many, many other folks. So we now have, by popular vote, by the way, we were the first country in the world to bring these things in by popular vote. And that is marriage equality for same-sex couples, abortion, and we got rid of every fucking blasphemy law out of our constitution because we've been able to convince people that it's been stupid. And our constitution was written with the Archbishop of Dublin at the time. He practically wrote our constitution, lads. So, I mean, talk about fucking being under the rule of thumb of the Catholic Church. They are everywhere in the Irish constitution. So I completely get it. But the way in which you bring down their power is chipping away at the political power. And that's part of the issue. They try give you a laugh when they tried to they were doing a new maternity hospital. They were making a new maternity hospital in Dublin, a national maternity hospital. Why it has to be in fucking Dublin, I don't know. But they were creating this new national maternity hospital, and they put it out for tender for who would actually run it. And the people who they wanted, the Irish state wanted to run it, was a group called the Bon Secure Nuns. If anyone has watched my live stream on my reaction to the mother and baby homes, you will know of the Bon Secure Nuns. They were the ones who ran the fucking things and who ran the Magdalene laundries and the institutions and shit like that. Like, and in the 21st century, they wanted to give our national maternity services back to the religious orders. The only way we stopped it was through protest, was through raising objections in the parliament, was through a letter writing campaign saying not a fucking hope in hell. So, like, when you really want to chip away at their power, it is the political power that actually affects people's lives. It is the economic power which sees people of other religions being sacked. Like even now in public schools, in certain schools in Ireland, you can't be gay as a teacher, even though it's against the law to discriminate against someone for their sexual orientation. If you're in a school that's run by nuns or priests in any way, shape, or form, which is pretty much all of them, then you're at risk of going against the ethos of the school. So you have to chip away at their political and economic power before you're actually able to brand them a terrorist organization.
True.
See, at least if they were designated, if they came and snatched some kid back from the other side of the ocean or whatever, we could send in the SAS.
Hang on. Jess, Jess is Crafty is basically Neo from the Matrix. Incoming question, activate bullet time. I've never seen the Matrix. I've seen the first one. I just wasn't bothered watching the rest because they were shit.
I saw half the first one, got bored, and stopped.
And yeah, Jess, you know, several times I mentioned my age last night, so feck right off. You're getting as bad as Clive. That's the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Milkman Dan makes a very fucking good point. That's ridiculous, gay, straight, whatever. You're not there to fuck the kids. I think that's horrendous. What's worse is if you watch, there's a movie in the 90s, it was made in the 90s, called Song for a Raggy Boy. And it actually goes through one of the industrial schools that was run by Catholic orders. And in that movie, you see the boys being beaten. My uncles, that happened to my uncles, that happened to my dad, that happened to a lot of people. My mom, when she was in school, was beaten by the nuns several times. Like, it was just a fact. So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to my mind, there is nothing that anyone can really do that has been worse than what the Catholic Church has actually gotten away with. You know?
Yeah.
Neil Badger says, all ladies are 21 years old. First of all, I'm not a lady. I am a woman, but I don't classify myself as a lady. Because there's certain societal structures to being a lady that I don't conform to. Second of all, it's 21 and a bit, and the bit's my own business. That's what my granddad used to say. My granddad used to say, you never go beyond the number of your door. And his door is 22. So anytime any of us as kids would ask him what age he was, he would say, I'm 21 and a bit, and the bit's my own business.
There you go.
You could borrow an identity from the Devil's Panties there, Keela. She did a Jenny Breeden does a webcomic called The Devil's Panties. Free shout out for her there. And one of the strips was explaining the difference between a lady and I think it was a dame and a broad, but lady and a broad. It said a broad can act like a lady, but she can also change her own tire on the way to the cocktail party.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Dan says, my mum used to cop it from the nuns. She's still a Catholic too. If I was beaten at school, there'd be uptick in school shootings, but teacher exclusive. Yeah. It's tough. It's tough. And what's more is you also have different religions, especially in the States, who are actually more extreme, if it's possible. But they're actually more extreme than the Catholic Church. So you have Calvinists and you have the likes of the Westboro Baptist Church and people like that. And they're actually more extreme. So again, you'd have to look through all of those and say, okay. But if you think that a terrorist organization is a thing that rules through fear, then that is the majority of religion. because they rule through an idea of an afterlife of some sort of whether it's reincarnation. If you don't do, like Buddhism, Hinduism, if you don't do right in this life, you're going to have a miserable life when you come back. So it's still being ruled by fear of what comes after you die.
Yeah, fear of the unknown.
Yeah. So fear of something nobody can fucking control. We die. It happens.
Yeah.
Deal with it.
That's right. We can't avoid it.
In that cheery note.
Yeah. Yeah, we're getting close to wrap-up time.
We are.
Yeah.
And we didn't even get to the stuff that I wanted to like drag out of Sable. But
well, that's okay, man. That's what
he will
this
be on
show's
again.
all about.
He
Yeah.
will be on again.
Oh, we'll make sure of that.
Hang on. Millie, say hello. Hi. We got Millie back.
Hi.
Hi, Millie.
Hey, Millie.
Hello.
Go about what you're doing.
I'm confused.
Yeah.
You're confused when you were born confused. She's like,
Seriously?
yeah.
I walk into the room and start burning me.
I have to burn you. You burned me yesterday.
Sure.
There you go.
See the bands.
Well, anyways.
We need the bands. Everyone's saying hello. Right. Yeah, we need to, don't fall. We need to finish up. We definitely need to finish up before Millie actually falls and cracks her head.
Absolutely. And with that, thank you, Sableagle, for joining us again this week. It's great talking to you again.
Thanks for having me on.
Enjoy your avocados.
Yeah.
With your bags.
I'll have to get another bag now and another pot.
Why don't you just get a roll of shrink wrap?
Hang on for 1 second. What am I trying to do? I'm trying to pull up the Pain in Progress link.
Yes. That will
Or
be
if you have it there.
premiering in about it'll be premiering in about 15 minutes. So I'll just go grab that and put that in the chat. And
yes. Because I can't do more than 2 things at once.
yeah, no worries.
What are we talking about today?
Today we are doing part 2 of Chinese dynasties. The fall.
Ooh.
That's right. And it's actually really quite a good one. So yeah, I think everyone's going to enjoy it. I'm just going to put that in the side chat right now, and I look forward to seeing you guys all there. And yeah, please do comment. It really does help the channel.
Yes, and I'll definitely be there. I need to go get another cup of tea, but I'll definitely be there.
Mm-hmm.
Yay!
And what have you got coming up, Crafty? Other than your debate tomorrow, you could put a link in there. Yeah,
actually. Oh, good point. Hang on. It is in my community tab, I think. Hang on, and I pulled the link up. So yeah, tomorrow I will be debating the issue of abortion with my good friend Stephen from Cider and Port. And if you haven't seen Cider and Port, we did a live stream together where my sister came on and talked about her experience raising a child with autism. And it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. So copy and paste. So this is the modern day debates link. Here we go. Yay! So if you're around at like 1 o'clock in the fucking morning, stupid o'clock, or 12:30 actually. Oh, it's 12:30. Okay. I actually thought it was later than that. Right. If you're around at 12:30, then by all means, come in, give me a little bit of support, give Stephen a bit of a support. And it's going to be fun. I say it's going to be fun. It's going to be interesting, definitely. So
I think that's going to be right around the time I hit the office and work. So I might be able to catch it once I get there.
Other than that, yeah, I will hopefully have a new Challenging Conspiracies out this week. And Friday week, I have What do I have? Friday week, I have the Ion Society coming back. So we have, we're talking about Belarus with Mr. Clapperjack. And then Saturday, I think I'm going to go Saturday night, we're going to celebrate my 1 year anniversary on YouTube. So that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Yay!
Awesome. Gonna look forward to that.
That's going to be another 5-hour fucking live stream for you. No, you'll be sick of me by the end of it, lads.
Yeah. That's
But
the whole
other
fun
than
part.
that-
It's the challenge.
Yeah, other than that, I'm pretty chill. I'll be around. I'm always around. And if I feel like fucking doing anything next week, I'll definitely do it.
Cool.
Other than that, we're good. We're done. We're done for this week.
Let's say goodnight, and we'll see you all at the Pan of Progress in about 10 minutes.
Whoop whoop. Say goodbye, people.
Bye.
Bye, people.
Bye, people.